everybody, and welcome back to the Drive Pink Dialogue. It is just past halfway point in the season, so Sora and I decided it was time to do a check-in, see how we're all feeling about the team, because there's been some very big wins lately and some very frustrating losses. Um, but also, Sora and I talk all the time, and I think maybe our minds meld a little bit, and maybe we get a little repetitive. So we thought, let's bring on someone else who might be able to give us a different perspective on what's going on, and maybe we'll get some rants, and maybe we'll get some poetic literature about how well the club's doing. Always a surprise when we bring on Mike Longin from the Inter Miami Show. So, Mike, how are you feeling today? And we'll get into the team in a second, but how's everything?
Life's good. Life's as good as can be when it's about 100 degrees in Florida right now, and I think we're melting. But no, life's good. Things are good. I'm excited to be on the air again. It's been a while. Brent and I have kind of taken a little hiatus trying to catch up on life. But I think coming out of the Leagues Cup break, because I think we all know my partner. Anyone who watches the show knows my partner will not cover Leagues Cup. And so after the break, I'll be back because we want to start covering again.
Well, I can tell just by my conversations with you that you're itching to get back to it. So I look forward to the return of that show. And I'm just happy that we get a chance to talk to you tonight because I think maybe we get a little monotonous sometimes. And you bring up some good points that I think are interesting. So, big picture, how are you feeling about Inter Miami in like 30 seconds?
Uh, 30 seconds? I can't do anything in 30 seconds. No, I think it's a really interesting season. I think if you take a hard step back and you look at Club World Cup, where we advanced out of group and did no worse than the rest of the world did against PSG, except for Chelsea, which good news, I'm a Chelsea fan too, so I still win. Um, I think look at the fact that points wise, we are on. I think we're just a point or two behind where we were last year when we broke the record. I think it's not. I think it's hard to say that this isn't going that well. Club CCC, yeah, that was a hard one. Uh, but I'm struggling. Like I kind of keep on going back and forth in line, and I think this is where we've been talking offline. Is if for everyone who said last year that listen, look how well the club did this time. Tata Martino, wonderful. It's kind of hard not to say, we're doing okay. We need a trophy. And so if we can get a trophy somehow, some way, it'll feel different. But that Club World Cup, I was pretty excited. I think the last thing I'll throw before you cut me off is I was supposed to be there. I don't know if I told you this. I was supposed to be at Club World Cup. Tickets to Atlanta. I went to going to the PSG game. Flights booked, hotel booked. Wake up the morning of the flight, and Delta canceled my flight. I didn't get to go. So that was super disappointing because I was excited. I was a tournament. I was excited how we were doing in that.
Was that like a weather reason?
Delta canceled like 200 flights that day, and they canceled like 2 in the morning. By the time I saw it 6 in the morning, everyone had already rebooked all the flights and all the similar flights. So it definitely was unfortunate.
I think maybe the succinct way to put it is that this team, by their record, is doing okay, is doing fine. The number of points they've achieved at this point in the season, we're only 3 points behind where we were last season. They'll have a chance to catch up to where we were last season if they can win the next 2 games in the MLS. They went farther on paper in the league in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. Obviously, the Club World Cup was, I thought, a tremendous success. And so, if you're thinking we're going to achieve more over the second half of the season, whether it's a deeper Leagues Cup run, trying to chase down the supporter sheet, or making a deep run and potentially even winning the MLS Cup, all of that's still available to have an incredible season. And yet it doesn't feel the same as it did a year ago. And maybe that's recency bias, because I know I have a lot of frustrations. And maybe that's one of the reasons I wanted to bring you on, because I needed maybe a sanity check, or maybe you could tell me that I wasn't so crazy. Listen, they are 3 points from where they were last year. But they've also had all their players the whole time. Lionel Messi missed I think 2 games this season in the MLS. Last year he had missed like 10 at this point. So it was certainly different. We were getting contributions from the bottoms of the roster. Leo Alfonso, Yannick Bray was emerging. Julian Gressel, Robert Taylor, Leo Campana was winning games for us. Things like that were happening. And so maybe that's what made it feel good is we were doing it without our superstars. And certainly this year it's been superstar led. And especially of late, it's been Lionel Messi led. So I guess my question to you is
Like, is there a question?
Yes, under the top line stats, which I think are good, are you happy with the sort of 90% underneath the headlines?
And this is where I struggle because unlike the rest of the world, I was actually unhappy at last year. Remember, I was the one going the fire
I do
Tata.
remember.
I was alone on that boat for how long in the year until the end of the year people started joining me. And I'm on the fire Mascherano chant. So I still think we're underperforming. I think Saturday's game was fantastic. And I will say I think actually Mascherano ball is much more interesting to watch than Tata Martino ball. But when we play at our ability, we play fantastic. When we don't play at our ability, it is really, really frustrating. So I think I also think there's an extra piece here, which a lot of people are struggling with, which is a lot of people did not like the hiring of Mascherano. And no, do not bring Tata back ever, never.
Don't
Just
get
because,
distracted by the chat. No,
just
don't get
just
distracted
because.
by the chat.
Yeah, well, you put it
No,
up there. I'm going to distract.
Stick to your thought. Stick to your thought.
I think that, like a lot of people are frustrated with Neville on the nepotism hire, the Mascherano is such a nepotism hire as well that even like people that were just as happy last year at the same time, the same place are no longer happy, even though it's a brand new coach. It's I think there's a lot of other factors that are kind of playing into this because we actually did better with worse last year. We didn't have Messi. We didn't have our superstars. We were winning games with just kind of our Phil Neville players. And now we're 3 points less with our superstars and it doesn't feel good. So I understand where you're coming from. And this is where I kind of go back and forth on this. Like Club World Cup kind of raised my spirits back up, but Cincinnati brought him back down.
Well, listen, I know you are an avid listener to the show, so I don't have to explain to you how we've been talking about it. But, and maybe that was a little bit of hyperbole there, but I think that me and Sora have come to the conclusion Club World Cup was its own separate thing that required its own separate level of intensity. And the guys absolutely showed up and played up to the level, and that it was a ton of fun. And we showed out well, and we deserved a lot of respect. And guys like Redondo and Cello and Ustari played exceptionally well, and they deserve a lot of praise for that. But that when it was going to come time to come back to the MLS, it was going to be very hard to keep that going, to replicate it because of the intensity those games and the style of soccer that we were playing when we were maybe not underdogs, but 50-50, 40% chance of winning, whatever. The other team expecting to do well. They played a certain style of soccer that Inter Miami is able to compete against relatively well. We got monster performances from Maxi Falcone. But all of that to say, I always thought it was going to be very difficult to keep that going moving forward. And so I've sort of compartmentalized that into its own thing. A great check mark for a fun season, but I don't necessarily think it's going to be something that indicates we're going to do well or dominant in the MLS as we get back into MLS play, into the Leagues Cup, into the MLS Cup playoffs. It seems like you have more succinctly taken that to heart and think that does show you something about this team you may not have seen or thought of before.
Yeah, it's man, this is so hard because like we're fifth. Well, we're fifth in right now. We're fifth in the East, fourth on points. We're with 3 games in hand. If the reality is, I think for most of us, if we were seeing rotation in our guys and better management, a lot of our complaints, I do believe, would go away. And and going into Saturday's game, so I'm gonna take a step back. I don't think Inter Miami as a organization cares about the Supporters Shield. They won this year. They've done nothing for them to date They've done nothing to like hype up the fact that they're previous Supporter Shield winners. They have not brought the trophy to the stadium except for once. The supporter groups haven't done anything really with it. We haven't seen it in advertising. And so I go to my next statement saying, I don't think the club cares about Supporter Shield. And yet we're sitting on, we enter Saturday sitting on 38 points. Anyone who's watched MLS for a few years knows 50 points for the season, you're in the playoffs. And really all you need to do is make the playoffs, right? Having the first seed doesn't really help, as we learned. Like,
Well,
so
I mean, do you really want to go to TQL Stadium in late October when it gets cold?
I mean, we couldn't even win at our stadium last year. So
I understand.
So, but I guess my point would be, I would have been happier as a fan seeing strong rotation going into Saturday night, giving up a few points in the Supporter Shield race, and just resting Messi, because Messi is injury prone. He's been injury prone in the pink of Inter Miami. And I think that's where a lot of our frustrations are coming, is we're not seeing rotation on the starting lineup at all. We're not seeing rotation in mid-game or any substitutions. We're not seeing any confidence in almost any player off the bench. I'm not saying they all deserve it, but we're not seeing it. And so if we didn't have those complaints and we're kind of at the same place right now, like if Mascherano was rotating, we had the same points, and he was substituting, we had the same points, and we probably actually would all feel a lot better. But we're getting really frustrated because we're looking at a team that we know a player can get injured. We know it could just fall off right away, and we're struggling with it. And I think that's what's really confusing about this whole thing right now, is if the like little details were there, we'd all feel better. But even though the results are kind of where we should have expected, like we probably, ECC was not going to say a long shot, but it wasn't unexpected that we'd get bounced. Make it semifinals.
I disagree. They lost to a Vancouver team that's not that good. And but they didn't just lose, they were embarrassed. And they almost lost to an LAFC team that's also not that good.
But take the step back and say, hey, we made it to the semifinals. We're probably going to start at the beginning of the season. We made the semifinals CCC. You're probably not that upset with it. Made it to the quarterfinals of Club World Cup. You're not that upset with it. So like the actual results, not saying the eye test, but the actual, just look at the results on like on a Wikipedia page. They're all there. It's the fact that we're watching it happen. We're going, this doesn't feel right.
Okay, I hear what you're saying. I think we established that at the beginning. Like the top line headlines are fine. The Wikipedia page looks good. They have, if they win their games in hand, they're going to be competing for the top spot in the Eastern Conference semifinal of the Continental Competition, out of the group stage in the Club World Cup. And then if they go to the MLS Cup, if they win the MLS Cup, then like it will look fantastic. I think if those things come together, you win your games in hand, you do well in the Leagues Cup, you win the MLS Cup, this could be a phenomenal season, regardless of the fact that it doesn't always feel good every single game. I also think the feeling good is not just because we want the vibes to be high, but all we want the team to show us that they're going to win the MLS Cup, that they're going to win the Leagues Cup, that they're going to win the Supporters Shield, that they're going to be the team that does that. And so while it's true that they can win the MLS Cup, of course they can. They're phenomenally talented. It's the best roster in the MLS. If you told me right now, are they going to win it? I don't know if I would say yes, because they haven't shown me, especially against some of the top level competition, that they have the type of in them to win every single game. Of course they can do it, but it doesn't feel like that's guaranteed. Like I think it did at some times last year.
I'd actually disagree. I'm going to disagree with you. I agree on your higher level point that I don't know if they can win MLS Cup, but I disagree for the reason why. It's not because I don't think that this team can do it, because when this team's playing its best, there's no one in this country or the country above us that can beat us. My concern is I don't believe we're going to get to MLS Cup injury-free. And the way we're playing and the lack of rotation is setting us up for a big fail, and then we're not going to be successful. And I don't want to jinx who it could be, but you lose one of the big four. Well, one of the big four I'm okay with losing. But like there's three of the big four I don't want to lose, plus the new guy that's coming in. Like you start seeing some injuries there. And those injuries being the result of lack of rotation, there's injuries being the result of overplaying. I am I'm gonna say I'm gonna put this out in the world. I am okay with getting bounced very early from League's Cup to rest our team in preparation for a run at MLS Cup.
Okay, but I don't think that makes a difference if Mascherano's just going to play the same guys 90 minutes every game, right? Like getting 2 or 3 less games in
It gives us
July
about a
is
month.
not going to make you better off in November if you're going
Yeah,
to
but
play 90 minutes
I
every
think
single game.
we're carrying a lot into July. I
And
am
remember
worried about what we've carried into July.
the Leagues Cup this year is not a one-off. So what I mean by that is you get the group stage, which is back to back to back, but then you go back to league play, and then the next round of the quarterfinals. Then you go back to league play, then the semifinals, then back to league play, then the final. So you don't, if you get bounced early, you don't get a 2.5 week break. You're back in the MLS that
But
weekend. So it's,
we're not gonna have
I
that
understand, I understand,
the
but it's
the
not this significant
schedule
type of rest.
concentration
Yeah,
schedule
that
I'm like, what word am I looking for here?
I don't know. Um,
See,
so
you like to bring me on the show, and then I do this to you where I frustrate you to talk to. And this is what Branson and everyone else has to deal with when they have to talk to me.
no, no, it's not that. It's that I wonder if what you're saying actually applies because if they miss a game or two or three, a Leagues Cup, because that's all I think. If you get to the second round, you go straight to the quarterfinals. Be giving up at most 3 games. You're still going to be playing those weekend games in the MLS. And so you're going to be getting 5, 6 days off at a time, sure, but it's not like a 2 week break like you would have over the past
Right,
2 years.
but it's 5, 6 days off versus 2 or 3, and considering that we have not shown an ability to rotate, we have not shown ability to rest our starters, like, you can't this team is not equipped to go win every game on the schedule. We just don't have I don't know if we don't have the bench, we don't have the manager that's confident in the bench. I guess in the reality, it doesn't matter which of those two, it's true. If you're not gonna rotate, injuries are gonna start happening, which we've seen. Like, we're looking at it, right? Like, how many Ustari went down I think we all saw
I
the
agree.
Ustari injury coming. We've
Well,
seen who just went down we just lost somebody else too. Like, it's happening so often right now, and it's gonna keep on happening. And Inter Miami historically has been an injury-prone team, and if we keep up trying to play all these cup and all of MLS, Messi can't play every one of these games. And I'm not. This is not. Let's be clear. I'm not knocking Messi. I don't want to be attacked for saying a bad thing about Messi. Just at some point, you can't play every 3 days for the next 4 months and have it be a successful strategy.
yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. I don't know if Leagues Cup is going to make a difference by the time he gets to playoffs because they're going to have 10 games in 7 weeks anyways during the MLS season. So, um, but it's neither here nor there. And I do think the guys are going to want to win the Leagues Cup when they get there. So, whatever
Yeah,
else
I
fans
don't
think,
think
it
I have
doesn't
a
really
say in
matter.
it, and
Yeah,
I agree.
exactly.
I think we've seen these guys want to go out and win everything. Messi does not want to be benched. He does not want to sit. Suarez does not want to sit. Busquets, Alba don't want to sit. Like, they want to play, and good on them for wanting it. But I think Cincinnati at some level, as you saw, what they got, they were exhausted. The end of that game, they look. Yes, I don't even know how they showed up the next game because they were so tired. I was
I
tired
don't
for them.
I don't want to give that an excuse to them being tired because A, they're putting themselves in this position, and B, we saw them 3 days later look electric. So uh, I think that was more of an excuse than anything in a way that they got beat up by a good Cincinnati team. And did they look tired? Maybe, but this team has shown even when they're tired, they can be of a high quality. And we didn't see that last Wednesday night. Um, I agree with you. I think non-rotation is a problem. I think all Inter Miami fans have said 7, 8 times this year, this is the perfect game to rest Messi and Busquets and Suarez and Alba, or at least one or two of them. I think all season we've seen Busquets get rested once and Jordi Alba rested twice, and never from Suarez or Messi. Um, and so,
Suarez and Messi sat one game together.
okay, so there we go. Of the 4 players, none of them have more than twice or been rotated out. And even the sitting, I think, is you come on in the 60th minute for those Jordi Alba appearances. Um, there are a lot of guys on the team that I think are worthy of more minutes, and I think it's frustrating that our coach doesn't give them that opportunity. I think we've seen Leo Alfonso can at least handle himself. Alan Obando is a guy that, in his one start, I thought he looked competent enough to get more minutes. Um, David Ruiz is a guy that I think should be getting more minutes even over the last couple weeks. And we could go up and down the list with our center backs, with our forwards, with guys that we sold because we didn't want to give them any minutes. Um, there's plenty of guys there. But let's talk about the on field product when we have everyone available, because I think we've settled into a very specific style of soccer. And I just wanted to ask you, how do you feel about how the team's playing when they're on the field? Not just over the
Uh,
last game or two, but over the course of the last couple.
I think we see two different versions of the team. We see the version that is fun, is fluid, takes advantage of opportunities, is very opportunistic. That's what we saw Saturday night. Like there was no pausing or waiting for somebody to arrive at the top of the 18. If you had a shot, you took the shot. And then there's a version of this team that only attacks from the wingbacks or from front. The ball has to be fed into certain positions. And that's less fun. And I find that when we revert to that, most teams have figured out keep 11 guys behind the ball and Inter Miami can't score against you. When we play as a counter-attacking team, we play aggressively. When Busquets is willing to put that through ball through like 6 people straight to Messi's foot, it's fun and we're really good. And I don't understand why we kind of will play that way one game and then to this very cautious team that's very based around certain players. Um, it's like a tale of two teams, and one of those teams I really like watching, and one of those teams I really dislike watching because the good teams know how to beat that team.
Um, I think they play too conservatively all the time. And then when they get behind, they go for it a little bit. And we saw that against Cincinnati. Jordi Alba, the minute, 2 or 3 minutes after Cincinnati, the score, Jordi Alba starts getting high up that left side. We start seeing midfielders get into sort of the outside of the box, being in dangerous positions. And all of a sudden, Inter Miami has bodies forward and they score 5 goals. And it felt like they had to wake up after that first goal to activate this sort of mode of let's go try and take the game instead of let's just sit back and see how it goes and we'll pick our spots and we'll let we do a lot of things up the middle and if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, we'll adjust on the fly. But as you saw last week against Cincinnati, there was no adjustment until they were already down 2-0. And at that point, the game was already out of reach. And as we have already talked about, if you are getting to a point where your legs are getting 10% heavier, 20% heavier, it becomes even harder to sort of flip the switch. And that is going to be something they have to deal with for the rest of the season. Doesn't matter if they forfeit every game of the regular season. It doesn't matter if they lose early in the League's Cup. By the end of the season, everyone's going to be 20% beaten up and their legs are going to be heavy. So they have to find ways to win regardless of that. And I do find this strategy of sitting back, playing conservative, playing much deeper than they ever have in the Messi era, and then trying to flip the switch on if they need to be a poor strategy. But I don't know. What do you think?
Um, I I'm trying to kind of at the end of the day, playing a little farther forward, a little farther back. It comes down to are we forcing the ball to certain players and only letting them shoot or not?
Disagree.
And no, okay, well let me finish. I was
Okay.
good. Um, when we let Segovia and Allende shoot, we tend to do better. When Suarez starts flapping his arms and screaming that you should have given him the ball, and he A be right, and B when he has gotten the opportunities to shoot has not been able to score. I think it's really taking away our ability to consistently score goals. And so I don't think it's a matter of cautiousness on setting back because the I've maybe I'm seeing a different game. Alba's and Wigan are always going all the way to the corner. They are playing all the way far forward. Our center backs are all coming up inside the opposing half. So I still think even when we're playing cautious, we're still fairly aggressive team. I think earlier today in the one of the MLS Lighters, they called up that Mascherano likes to play a high press when he can, and so I don't think it's about sitting back and then being opportunistic. I just think it's really more about are you forcing the ball to certain players, or are you just letting the game play naturally? I'm all for Messi scoring though. I think again, Busquets' pass was beautiful. Alba's did beautiful pass, but you don't always have to give the players, let the ball kind of cycle around. I want to see more shots from outside the 18 that we seem very unwilling to take. And I think we're unwilling to take it because if the ball is outside the 18, it's got to be forced to certain players. And so I see what you're trying to say, but I just don't feel like it's so much as a cautious play as much as they're playing cautious. They're slowing down play to force the ball.
Do you think they're doing it, in your opinion, more than last year?
Well, I
Season?
think it has to be yes, only because the first half of the season, Messi didn't play. Messi was injured for a lot of it. So I think when we were forced to play so many different players, they played a more open style ball and more inconsistent. Like we weren't consistent. We were so it was almost something new every time. Tata was always having to, not that I like Tata, but he was always having to adjust to other things because he had no choice. He didn't know what players were going to play on any. Here we've been more consistent, and you saw that leading up to the Orlando route where teams had figured out how to beat us. And Cincinnati, I think, kind of reverted to that thing. I actually also don't understand why Red Bulls let themselves get the hammering they did. I know Red Bulls is known for their high press, insane attack, but if they had been a little more cautious in that game, it would have gone a lot differently, I think.
I agree with you. I mean, I think Red Bull is not exactly built to sit back. Like part of being a good team defending your own box is because you're well drilled and you're on the same page with your teammates. Like it's not something that you could just flip the switch and be great at. So I appreciate that for Red Bulls. But I guess to your point, I don't know if anything's really changed since that Orlando City loss, um, because I still think the same style and strategy to beat Inter Miami is the same strategy to beat Inter Miami, and the few teams that are to play that style or don't have the talent to really play that style are going to get beat up by Inter Miami. And we saw that with Columbus, right? They are going to stick to their system no matter what. We saw it with the Red Bulls twice this year already. They stuck to that 4-2-2 and they had no answer to Inter Miami on the counter. And we've seen Montreal or, a couple teams that don't have the talent to compete get overwhelmed. But man, a lot of our wins lately have not been particularly impressive. I'm looking at this recent Nashville and New England, and we're gifted a goal that was the difference in the game. And it doesn't feel like Inter Miami's really figured out how to handle that. What do you think? Do you think they've improved? Do you think you want to see something specific? You want to see them do
Well,
or try something else?
I think we are underselling. Listen, we went to Philadelphia, took a point. We
But remember,
blasted.
though, we were losing that game 3-1 until the 87th minute. And then they had 10 really nice minutes in
You
that
know,
game.
we got a point. Went to Columbus, or we had Columbus there, blasted them. So I think to say we haven't had some quality wins is a little underselling. I won't say it's disingenuous. I'm saying it's underselling. But I don't know how much we've changed because I know you don't want to say tiredness is an excuse. I just don't know what team we're looking at and like what we're really seeing with our players. Like I want to see them on Saturday coming into the next game against Cincinnati, the revenge game. That's going to be very telling. We've had 6 days of rest. I'm sorry, Messi and Alba. I know they're going to MLS All Star game, but I don't expect them to really be that tired coming off of it. So we're gonna get 6 days of rest. We have a ton of game tape. We know exactly what Cincinnati did to us. Do we come out and play our standard force the ball to certain player individuals, or do we play a more wide open attack that's a little more exciting and help the ball find the back of the net?
Okay, can you describe to me what you're envisioning when you're saying this?
I'm saying that so often or not when we have a counter or we bring the ball forward, we don't try to put the ball inside the 18 until everyone is there. We're not willing to, and the ball has to go either it's going to come in from pass the ball to Alba. Alba's going to go right, and then he's going to one time it from the left to the right, or from Cello from right to left, or you force the ball into Messi, and he's got 4 players around him, and then he can do amazing Messi things and sometimes score, or kick that. Versus we don't force the whole team to get up there, wait for the whole team to get up there. We have Escovia Ende taking shots from outside the 18. We have people trying to move the ball in many different ways. It's a more fluid style ball, and you see this every once. I think we saw a lot of this again against an inadequate Red Bulls team, but we're not waiting. We're not just. We don't need the whole team. By whole team, I mean Alba, Cello, Messi, Suarez, all up front. Busquets, to feed the ball before we start trying to make an attack. And that's where I think someone, I know you told me not to read too many of the comments, but teams have figured out you clog the middle against us and we can't score. So we have to attack before teams have a chance to clog the middle.
I hear what you're saying. I don't know if I agree with that being what's happening, because what I see all the time is that these guys aren't even making runs forward because I mean, I can understand what you're saying about forcing the ball through Messi, but it feels like a lot of the time Allende and Segovia and Alba and Cello are not even making runs forward. I think one of the things that surprised me so much on Wednesday, not surprised me, but impressed me, was that third goal we had on Saturday night. I apologize. Federico Redondo picks up a loose ball in the box, and that's what leads to Segovia's second goal and the third goal for Inter Miami. I have so rarely seen Redondo up the field in that type of position where he's in the opposition box to pick up a loose ball, because he's always staying at 10 yards from the halfway point. And that if you're not getting bodies forward consistently, then you really are asking Messi and Suarez to be Supermen. And it becomes very difficult to create patterns of play that are going to help you create offense. So I understand today Allende sometimes makes runs in behind. I think we're seeing that less and less over the last few games. And he's sort of played himself into bad form. I think Jordi Alba's gone forward less this season by 75% than what we saw last season. And I think these are contributing factors. So if you're talking about wanting to get other guys involved, I think it starts with actually having guys in positions to be involved.
But I think I don't. Maybe I'm cherry picking what I see on the screen because I'm usually at my TV when it happens. But I'm seeing runs. I'm seeing guys make the sprint, make the run, and the ball's not getting to them. So you see less and less. But the guys are trying to make the runs, and the ball never shows up their feet. The ball, instead, we do a slowly advancing ball. Take your time. Versus, I think really we saw in the New York Red Bull game, the only time we really kind of paused was just recycle and then attack. And it was fun, but not the slow advance that gets the defense clog the middle. And so I would like to see more runs. I'd like to see when they do the runs, the ball actually gets to them.
Yeah,
because that's a big part of it too. The ball
I
isn't
agree.
being fed to the runners unless your name is Alba or I don't know, again, what the pass of the year to Messi, which was a beautiful pass. I don't know how he threaded that ball, but it was fantastic.
Upcode says the new strategy should be to own goal ourselves in the first minute, and then we'll start forward to go for the win. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think we're very one-dimensional in our offense, and I think it's making the two players that are one dimension, it's making them worse. And I think that's a big reason why we've seen Suarez be significantly less productive this season. And Messi is so talented that he's able to make up for it and not be affected by it. But I do think it affects the team's overall high ceiling. What do you think about the 4-4-2? Because I want to get your opinion.
I mean, I don't really think we're running a 4-4-2. So it seems to morph and move for something. I think it's 4-4, kind of a 1-1.
Okay, sure.
I'd like to see a second true attacking player actually playing up with Suarez, or just no Suarez, to be fair. We have kind of to the point where we're both kind of go back and forth on. We don't have a vertical threat that we trust and not putting into the lineup on a regular basis. And even Allende's play, he's technically a midfielder. He's not the consistent attacking vertical threat. I also actually would like to see us go back to a 3-man back line. I thought for a brief time we had the players to do it. I don't know. I know definitely don't have this week because Falcone is on yellow card suspension. I'm not even sure what center backs we're going to have to start. But
Maxi Falcone on yellow card suspension.
Yeah, but who do we have that's actually healthy to play this week?
Okay.
That's my question.
It's going to be Aviles and Lujan.
I know. Allen's getting healthy. I don't know if he's gonna be ready this week or come back after the break too. But Uh, I don't feel like we have enough attacking threat up front. I think that starts with the issue. To your point, you want to see Alba coming up more. I don't hate Cello. I know people are going to yell at me for this. I don't think he's nearly as bad as people want to make him out to be. I think he's perfectly adequate as an MLS right back for a fairly inexpensive right back.
He's
Because I
not
mean,
that inexpensive, but I
he's
agree
still like
with you that
half. He's like half of what we were paying Yedlin, if I
no,
recall.
it's about the same this year. He got a
Is
big
it
salary
really?
bump this year.
Good
He's
for
at
him.
like 740,000 or something like that.
Really, I thought he was.
Yeah,
Can we get him 300?
that was
You're ahead
last
of me on
year.
this one.
Yeah, this year he got a big
Okay,
salary bump, and
I
that
would
does
have
change
rather.
things
I'd
because
rather have Yedlin.
yeah, because like when I think of Cello, I think of Franco Negri. It's like it's just certainly an MLS starting caliber player, but obviously not a star. And when you're talking about having the best team in the league, you're okay having a player like that. It's fine. You don't want them to take up too much of a salary cap, and so I think when we're talking about bringing Cello back next year, that's certainly a factor. But um, I think you're fine. I find too. I agree with that.
Um, you froze up for me on a second. So I think we need to have a second true attacking player up front. I know that's not going to happen. I'm saying this, but I know I don't see that spring, especially with the Paul news coming out. Like we're not bringing in some top of the line
What do you
attacking
mean?
player.
What do you mean a second true attacker? You don't consider Messi a true attacker?
I see Messi as the orchestrator, right? Like
So,
I still see more of a cam than a
so you
true
mean another goal scorer?
true goal scorer. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Go ahead. Sorry, just to clarify.
So I still think we need a. The statement's tainted because I really think you need Suarez to come in as a super sub and have a true nine, a more healthy, faster nine playing there. That's not going to happen. So if I have to assume that Suarez has to play, then I think you need a true speedy guy, a Fafa, Afonso getting more minutes, pulling the defense towards them and creating space for Suarez. Because once you start pulling the defense one way, Suarez can get space, or they don't track Afonso or Fafa. And now we've got runs. All of a sudden, you got runs, and the possibly one of the best long ball passing players in the world ever, Busquets, are able to just drop dimes and bypass the midfield for the most part. I just think we're too concentrated and pushing stuff into Messi instead of letting the game flow to Messi.
I totally agree with you. I think we do need to do a better job of creating some threats high up the field. But I guess this is my overarching theory of the case is that Inter Miami doesn't put forward numbers because they play a more conservative style. And so if that's stretching the field as Alba, that works. If it's Chelo Wagan on the right or Ian Frey as a sort of a right back, that works. If it's Federico Redondo coming out of the midfield or if it's Rodrigo de Paul coming out of the midfield, like you're creating options for yourself that allow Messi and Suarez to play off of and to use their intelligence to sort of find positions when when guys are distracted. But I think too much this season, it's been Messi and Suarez high up the field, and there's nobody else up there to go with or to create with.
But I think part of your problem is and Cello going up is good, except they don't cut in and attack. Everyone knows if you see them going up front, they're probably going to pass the ball in. I think a little bit against New York, we actually saw Alba cut in a few times to get inside the 18. But historically, they're advancing the ball, but they're not advancing with the ball. They drop the ball, and then all of a sudden we lose the ball, and now they got to run back the other way.
Well, certainly they create space and opportunities for their teammates when they make the and when they get the ball out there and they're dangerous.
I don't think they are creating space because even though they're going to the far corners, everyone knows the ball is going to be crossed back into the center. So this goes back to the defenders. The center backs are all cheating. Not cheating like cheating. Like they know what's going to happen. So they're playing. They're not worried about a guy cutting in and taking a shot from midway up the 18 on the side. They know it's going to be a cross. So most likely you really got to defend Suarez or Messi middle. So I don't think they're creating space. I think there's an illusion of space.
Yeah, but
defense, the center backs don't actually believe they're going to do anything, so they're giving them extra space because they don't have to worry about it.
I hear what you're saying, and I understand what you're saying in principle, but I'm just replaying these games in my head, and I am not seeing Jordi Alba getting the ball high up the field. as nearly as much as he was last season. He's getting it once or twice a game, and not 8, 9, 10 times like he
I,
was last season. And we're not
I
creating
know you're going to
as
go
much
after this
offense.
conversation. I know you're going to go find the details and tell me that I was completely wrong, that you were right, that he really isn't advancing the ball so much. But I still see him all the time, cello all the time in the corner. I've the benefit of my season tickets. I get to see Alba run in front of me all the time. I sit I sit on the left hand. Well, where I sit in the northwest corner, actually. So when we're playing to the west, that's the west. I've got Alba running in front of me the whole time. I see a ton of Alba. Alba blowing kisses at his kids and saying hi to his wife because he's constantly in front of me. And that only happens on an attacking play because when we have the ball on that side, he'd be on the other side of the field. So it's only attacking when I get to see Alba, and I see a lot of Alba. So I there might be some bias just because of what I see, and I'm used to it, but I see a lot of Alba, and he's very far up the field.
Okay, well, we can agree to disagree on that one for now, and maybe I will bring you on next time and lambast you for 10 minutes on
Yeah,
it. But
yeah, you bring the data, bring the
no,
but
I'm kidding.
I
I'm
just see
kidding.
it a
I'm
lot.
kidding. I'm kidding. Okay, let's get to moving forward, because they're going to sign Rodrigo DePaul, who's a box to box, super high end talent, and so that guy is going to play every game. He's going to be on the same 90 minutes every game as Busquets, Alba, Messi, and Suarez. How do you make it work? I think is the question, because I'm looking at this 4-4-2 or 4-4-1-1, however you want to describe it, uh, that we're playing now. And I think the most natural fit for DePaul is to swap out the Yannick Bright, Federico Redondo, Benjamin Kermaski role, put him in right there. And then you can kind of keep everything going as you would like. And I think that's exactly what Javier Mascherano's probably going to try and do. But I don't know if I feel like that gets the most out of this team. I think you're taking off one of your better players when you take Yannick Bright out of the 11 to accommodate Rodrigo DePaul. So moving forward into the summer transfer window for the rest of the season, what would you like to see from them positionally? What guys do you want to see more or less of? I mean, how you felt moving forward? What would you like to see?
So I don't think the Bright Redondo spot is the spot you're going to give up, because theoretically that spot is occupied by a more defensive player. And I think they're going to use DePaul more to attack. So I think in some way, shape, or form, Segovia is going to be the guy who's going to lose the starting spot. Um, I, I, I just,
Interesting.
I'm looking through the past few games, and even though Kromowski started against Cincinnati, Kromowski is really sitting in the Redondo bright spot.
Yeah.
And so I just think if I look, I'm like, man, you're going to want to start a true CDM. You're going to start Busquets. You're going to want to start DePaul. So who's left? Allende or Segovia? And Allende's more of an attacking threat than Segovia. I think clean, Segovia just had the 2 goals. So I think it's one of them to lose their starting spot. I
Do you
don't.
think,
That's.
is that what you'd like to see, or is that what you think Javier Mascherano will do?
I think that's what Mascherano will do.
Okay.
I don't. DePaul to me feels like such a luxury signing. I don't think that's our problem we need to solve right now. And so it's you're asking what I want to do. I don't want to say I don't want to sign DePaul. Yeah, this is going to be DePaul's going to be the face of the club
No.
from
I'm
now.
talking about what do you want to do with the pieces that we're getting,
Oh,
not what do you want to do big
I
picture.
yeah. I actually okay. So with the pieces we're getting, I don't think there's any way around that. I think you have to have another attacking player. I mean, what you could do is a 4-3-3. I think that I'd probably be a little more excited with. And then you basically have Busquets, CDM, DePaul, and then a true move Messi up to a true more right winger and bring in a true left wing. I don't even know who we'd have as left
Can,
wing.
can I can I ask you though, because, and I think maybe this is what you were getting at. It doesn't feel like when you called him a luxury piece, he doesn't feel transformational. I think if you signed like a really pacey athletic striker, that would be a transformational
Mm-hmm.
type of signing. Whereas Rodrigo De Paul clearly is a better talent than a Yannick Bright or a Verdando or Segovia, but it's not a weakness Inter Miami is trying to solve, and it doesn't fundamentally change how they're going to play the game. Maybe he will be sort of special talent that we've never seen before, but I'm not expecting that. He feels like it's an upgrade on some of the really good pieces we already have. And so when I get to that, I'm thinking to myself, well, how can we turn this into a transformational piece? And the answer is not just by adding him to the roster, but it's by changing the way you play, because you are going to accommodate him and you no longer are going to accommodate what you think it might be Segovia or Allende or Yannick or Lujan, whoever you're going to pull out of the lineup for this. It feels like the way you can make this transformational is to change how you play. And so as we get into a conversation about the 4-3-3, and I want to hear your thoughts, that feels sort of maybe the best way to use a Rodrigo de Paul.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the only way to use him and get a more attacking. I think, listen, at the end of the day, we're both kind of saying the same thing. We want to see more. I see more attacking than you do, but we both want to see more attacking. And I think you really force
more diverse attacking.
Yeah, more. I think it forces us to really play a 4-3-3 or a 4-3-1-2. Let Messi kind of sit back a little bit. Then you kind of have Suarez, maybe not 4-3-1-2.
Okay, so you mentioned earlier Houston in a back three. I understand this game. We're coming up. Falcone is out, but I don't think it's unreasonable to think the team's going to sign a center back in the window. This is where I
don't know if I agree with that.
Okay, well,
I have no trust in who we're going to go pick up. So it's not unreasonable to think we're going to get a new center back. It's also not unreasonable we're going to sign 3 new midfielders. I just don't know what we'll do.
Fair. There are plenty of guys on this roster who can play center back. Some of them are out because of injury. Some of them are out because they're suspended this weekend. But I think moving forward over the course of the season, playing a back three is a reasonable thing in terms of a depth position. And this is where I'm sort of leaning, because I think there's a world, maybe a smart world, where you play all of the guys you have to play, but you put Busquets on the back line, and it allows you to fundamentally transform how athletic and domineering your midfield is. Tell me how we can turn this team with this DePaul signing in like a truly special way. Like, how is it? How is that very actually different? What you're saying?
I'm gonna go the opposite direction. I know you want me to say it, but I'm not gonna say it. I don't think there's any way you can put Busquets on the back line, because we bring the center back so far forward. Busquets is not able to recover. Allen can recover.
We are watching 2 different teams this year.
He's not able to get
back line is playing so much deeper than they were last season, and EK last year at center back.
He struggled at center back. He was constantly being beat, but you had guys constantly trying to make up for it. But I don't think he can sit on the back line. I just don't, and it's slower than he was last year. I just don't think that's real. I don't think that's a realistic ask of Busquets to play a high line center back. He just cannot recover fast enough. And we don't have right now, to be fair, we don't have the center back depth. We think about it, Martinez.
It's one game that we don't have.
No, so we don't play Sailor. We have no confidence in Sailor, so he's not real depth. We've lost Martinez.
But you have Lujan, Aviles, and Maxi Falcone, and then you're getting Noah Allen back, and you're getting Ian Frey back, and
everyone wants Frey to go to the right back position and start playing. And especially if you start playing a 3-5-2, you really kind of want to start seeing Frey get involved again, because he can start making plays. So really having 4 true center backs to play a 3-man
it's not really that, because if you need a center back to start for you, you can move Ian Frey from right wing back to center back for that game if you've got a guy suspended or whatever. You know what I mean?
As much as I do like a 3-man line, because now I'm thinking about what the players we have, which is what you forced me to answer the question with. It's. I think if you think about the players we have, I think it'd be more effective to finally listen. If we want to be a team that can truly control the midfield, DePaul allows us to finally do that.
I disagree. I don't think if you have Busquets, you're gonna have.
This is just like being on my own show. Branson disagrees with everything I say too. I don't even know why I have these shows, because no one agrees with me.
Well, that's why you're on, because you have the interesting opinions. If we all just agreed all the time, it wouldn't be as fun. No, but the thing is, if you have Busquets in the midfield, you're never going to athletically control the midfield. And that, I guess, is my point, is if you put him on the back line, you're going to do a much better job of controlling the ball to the midfield.
Yeah, but I think DePaul
And you
now
protect
in the
him
mid
with
protects Busquets.
Yannick Bright. I don't know if he does more than a Yannick Bright or a Kramaski, really. I mean, he will, but it's not going to be like he's four
I mean,
times
okay,
better.
so in that case, then you need Busquets to play a true CDM role more. You pull the Yannick Bright, the Kramaski, the Redondo role, and then you leave. If you do a 3-minute with DePaul, Busquets, and one of our speedy midfielders,
I still
you're
don't
gonna have a
think it's
lot.
athletic enough. I still don't think it's athletic enough, because
Well, we
Busquets,
got
he's your protector in the back line in that case.
five of our starting guys is over the age of 30. 4 of them are over 35. So I don't think we're ever going to be athletic enough. They're
But
old.
you can be in the middle if you don't put any of them in the midfield. And the midfield is the most important place to have that, I think.
Someone said it earlier. If you really want to be transformational, and with DePaul's, how do you bypass the midfield and start playing through the midfield and not to the midfield? Like, how do we not get stuck between the 18-yard lines and start playing it forward more without being predictable, which is what I think that's part of the problem now. We're predictable. If we were using our wing backs in an unpredictable manner, that's what I was saying. Have them cut in, have them not always just cross, but cut ins and constantly change. That makes us exciting. I don't know. I feel like there's no. Why don't you tell me what you would like to see?
I'd like to see Busquets on the back line and a back three. I think
hate
that gives you the opportunity to have a midfield that can actually dominate a game. And I think this team, if it had a midfield that could actually dominate a game, would be really special. It would give you plenty of opportunities going forward, and it will protect you defensively and it'll make you better defensively. That's what I think. And I think back three, because then you can have Noah Allen and Aviles being speedy guys that can recover in transition. I think you probably need to Scotty in goal, because he is instinctually pretty good when it comes to sweeping. I think there's ways to protect the weaknesses, but again, this is the MLS. Whatever you do, someone's going to have weaknesses and strengths, and so for me, that's what I would like to see tried out. And I think we saw enough from Busquets last year that I'm happy to see it again, or try it out again.
I don't know. I wasn't sold. I didn't love it last year, but I'm at this point. Let's try something new. I mean, I think we'd like to see new.
And I think that's the other thing about this that surprised me the most about Mascherano is Tata had his certainly stubborn about a lot of things. I don't know if anyone would call Phil Neville stubborn, but I definitely think Javier Mascherano is stubborn. And considering this is his first real club job, he's very stubborn about who he's going to play every game. He's very stubborn about his formation. I think he's stubborn about his style of play. And so for a rookie coach to be this stubborn, I think is really frustrating. And so, like you said, I think we would all be interested to see what else this team could put out there, if there's a way to get more out of it. And
I feel like you're trying to bait me right now. Are you trying to bait me into a rant? Or no, should I just let that go?
If you have a rant, you're more than welcome to give it out.
So we're 53 minutes in. Any viewers have left that we're going to leave already, so I'll talk to. I don't think it's Mascherano. I absolutely don't. I think he's coaching the greatest player. He's in the managerial role with the greatest player of all time. He's got 4 people on the pitch that were his teammates, friends. So I don't have any belief that Mascherano is truly the stubborn one in this situation.
Okay, but before you go on,
hey,
do you
still
agree?
back your rant.
No, I'm going to let you go. I'm going to let you go on, but I just want to preface this. Do you not think he still, by taking the job, by being the manager, has responsibility for taking the blame for it?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so 100%. Go ahead. Okay,
yeah, no, I'm saying I think one thing is what I think is actually happening. Is he at fault for allowing this situation to happen? Yeah, but okay, I guess you can make the argument. Maybe he's being told he has to do this too. I just don't think he's the one making the final decision. He does do a surprising more in-game corrections than I actually expected him to do. If you watch him during water breaks or injuries, he's constantly pulling people and talking. I don't know what they're saying. Maybe they're just telling each other a good joke, but he's constantly, there's a lot of mid-game communication. Uh, but I just don't think realistic for any of us to expect that Mascherano can say, Suarez, you're not playing today. You're going to be subbed. Like,
I agree.
I don't think that was and I think we all knew that going into this.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yes, you're right. Does he take blame? Yes. Is he solely to blame? I don't think so.
Yeah, and I guess maybe to synthesize your point is he's doing the job that he was hired to do,
Yes.
and that can be really frustrating. But I think back to last year, and to go to your point, Tata Martino tried to build a team at the beginning or in the offseason before last season that could play with Messi and Suarez as the front two guys, and they were going to be the focal points. And he had this 3-5-2 system, and we didn't have the midfielders for it, and our defenders weren't athletic enough for it. And like he had to make changes after 6 weeks or so, because it had gotten really bad. But like if you were telling me Messi and Suarez told him all offseason, we need to be these front two guys, and you figure out what else happens behind me. And then this year we're seeing sort of the same thing with this 4-4-2. Like I can buy that, but Javier Mascherano, he decided to take the job, so he has to have known that he was going to get
Yeah.
blamed for it. And so I think it's fair.
I think, but it went both ways, right? Like Mascherano also, if this was successful, he's the top guy. This is the job when you're coaching the greatest player of all time. And I'm trying not to make any comments, get my house firebombed. You just accept things that come with it. And there's very few managers in this world, even less so, who would come to Miami and coach and manage an MLS that really could manage this team. And I think that was the argument I got into with Battered Herons time and again. Was I would name all these managers and like, yeah, well, they come to MLS. So I think that's kind of the struggle when you have such elite talent playing in. What are you reading
No, I just
reading the comments here? Because
listen.
I mean, compared to Solana, and I just am just
No, no. I
ignoring
just
it as
I just
best I
want to
can.
say I think it's unfair for fans to have to come up with the perfect coach, because we will spend 5 minutes on Google, and there are people at Inter Miami that it's their job to spend all day finding the right coach. So I think it's to say there are no coaches out there, I think is a little bit unfair, just because neither of us, or maybe you can, but I can't come up with the perfect coach. It doesn't mean that they're not out there. Um, and if you gave me a week and paid me for 40 hours to find a coach, I'm sure I could find a couple good candidates.
But I think this is we knew when Mascherano was hired, this was probably the situation we were going to find ourselves in. And if it worked, we would look past it. And if it didn't work, this was going to be the conversation. And I'm sure the coaches and the ownership felt the same way. You know, can Messi essentially coach himself and others? It's not an unreasonable expectation.
I agree.
But when there's so little, and again, I go back to most of us are really just frustrated by two things: not an exciting offense, not a consistent, exciting offense, and lack of rotation. And we probably, even if we had the rotation and we saw changes and stuff going on, we'd probably even be more happy and can kind of get by
I
it.
agree.
And so it's a very little thing that we're all getting frustrated by. And you and I constantly are going back and mentioning, like, oh, like, why did we not rotate? So is this Mascherano saying he doesn't trust his players? Is it someone or multiple people on the pitch saying, I don't trust playing with so and so? I don't know, but there's
Well,
something wrong that needs to be fixed.
okay. Let's talk about this for a second, because like I'm thinking about what you're saying, and if you're telling me Messi is saying I don't want to come off, I want to play every game, and Mascherano has no power to really do anything about that, I sure I buy that for sure. And same with Suarez, and maybe same with Busquets and Alba, and it will be the same with Rodrigo de Paul. But also, like, there are a lot of players that I think we saw last year have some talent that have gotten almost no minutes and have been put sort of on the back burner this season. And I don't think Messi is particularly worried whether it's Ian Frey starting at center back or Gonzalo Lujan or whatever.
I
Um,
I I I think the organization has made a number of decisions that I think we're not entirely. I'm trying to say this as best I can. We're not entirely tied to on-field performance. Things being said
I think
off the
that's fair.
field, things like podcasts being run off the field, or Instagram accounts, or things of that nature. And I listen. I'll do the easy one. Gressel has a very public podcast and is a member of the MLS Players Association. Gressel worked perfectly well under Tata Martino, and once he said something and in one interview, never saw the field again. That's realistic. That happened. I mean, we all saw. And I think
I
that
don't know. I don't want to get into conspiracies. I can find a way to justify that, saying what I'm saying, what I would say is right, but I can come up with a non-conspiratorial way to explain Julian Gressel's leaving the team.
wait, but you can't. Can you make a non-conspiratorial reason why he didn't see the field during the playoffs?
Yeah, because basically Tata Martino realized that his best 11 does not have Julian Gressel on it, and that Julian Gressel's only real spot last year when he was effective was where Messi played. Messi wasn't going to come off in the playoffs. So
I mean,
if
we
he was
got
going to
our
come on
butts
for
handed
7
to us by
minutes,
Ant. I argue that wasn't our best Atlanta 11 that lost to Atlanta twice.
fine. I'm not saying Julian Gressel wouldn't have made an impact. I'm not saying that's the right decision. I'm just saying like I can convince myself that's real. And then when Tata Martino was gone, Javier Mascherano had no interest in a player like Julian Gressel. And that's why he was gone this offseason. So I'm not saying wrong about the podcast, about Julian Gressel's podcast, but I want to make sure we stick to what we actually know for sure. Okay, let's talk about the future, because they're bringing in Rodrigo De Paul, who is like probably going to be one of the very best players in MLS. At least that's what I'm expecting. I would expect Busquets to be either not on the team or on a TAM contract next season. I don't necessarily expect Luis Suarez to be back. Jordi Alba, I think, is going to be on a TAM contract next season. So they're going to have a DP spot. I think they might get a recycling of the U22s. It wouldn't surprise me if Redondo isn't here in the long term. Wouldn't surprise me if Segovia gets his big move to Europe at some point in the next 2 transfer windows. So they're going to have some flexibility with the roster. The goalkeeping situation is going to have to get replaced. Scotty is
Old.
39, turning 40. So they're going to have to reset everything. Do you have confidence that it's going to go well?
No. Absolutely none.
Ash says, doesn't Lujan and Cello have podcasts where they trash the team regularly? If not, we should set one up.
I would love to see a Cello podcast only because the fans hate him. And I just think it'd be a really fun podcast to listen to of him dealing with the fans. I don't have confidence. I don't even know who our sporting director is at this point.
Well, it's Alberto Diaz, but we don't know anything about him.
That's right. We don't like, and I know it. Listen, I've already been called Chris Henderson groupie, and I get it. I was a big fan of his. I think he made a lot of good decisions. I don't have confidence. I didn't deep breaths. I don't think we've seen enough movement places we've needed. Everyone says we need a center back. We didn't make a splashy center back signing. You know, we have not handled our number 9 at all. Like, I get it. Suarez is our number 9. I'm not saying he's not, but the backup has already been a failure. Obando does not see the field for whatever reason it is. And so I don't know. You made the comment earlier. I guess I'm kind of reiterating the comment earlier. In this window, you're expecting us to hire us, go find a center back. I don't expect us to. I think from a logical perspective, yes, I would expect it. But do I actually expect it? I do not.
Do you think they're going to do anything this window other than bringing in DePaul?
I think we need to lose somebody. I think we're going to have to sell someone off. So I think there's going to be some movement. I do not. I think if there is a second hire, it will.
Why do you say that?
Because
they have the international spot. They have room on the senior team roster.
I think there's just been enough rumors that somebody was going to go out this window. So I feel like
I agree that someone could leave, but I don't know if the two are necessarily tied to each other.
No, I wasn't meaning to
Okay,
imply that.
sorry, my bad.
I expect there to be an outgoing signing. I expect there to be at least one more incoming signing. I don't think it'll be something that the fans are going to be thrilled about. I don't think it like if we went and hired a new if we went to hire, keep on saying hire. If we went to sign a new center back or a new 9, I think everyone's going to be pretty excited about that. That's not what I would expect us to do. Mostly because I think that would make all the sense in the world, and therefore I don't think we'll do it.
Um, you really don't have a lot of faith.
No, I don't.
No, I
I
mean,
don't.
I think they're going to get a center back. I think he's going to be like a Maxi Falcone, Gonzalo Lujan level center back in terms of that's the price range we're looking at. And so it's not going to be a guy that anyone's particularly familiar with. It's not going to be a flashy name. And if that's the case, then we're just going to have to wait and see what he looks like.
Right.
And I think maybe it's the same with like any type of offensive player.
And to be fair, we've struck out on center backs more than we've gotten
Yeah,
right.
and for me, I think this particular coach, and I don't want to blame the sporting director because it is a new sporting director, the last one. I don't necessarily think he hit it out of the ballpark in the winter transfer window in the first set. I think Tata Martino and Chris Henderson did. I mean, their hit rate was unbelievable in the year and a half they were together. I don't know if this current crop and the coaching staff is really on par with that, and so it does make me pretty nervous if I'm being honest.
Before I go back to I know everyone's excited for DePaul, and again, he's going to be this in 3 years. The face on the side of MFP is going to be DePaul, but he wasn't the signing I think we really needed, and I just wonder what is the signing we're going to get that fills the needs we really have.
Just out of curiosity, what is the signing you think we needed?
I think we needed. I think more than anything, we needed a change of pace 9 or someone to play in that role.
Okay, but that
I
wasn't
think
going to
that's.
happen. So
I'm not, but I wasn't looking for. I wasn't looking for a DP level 9. I was okay with a mid tam 9. Someone,
like Campana.
but playing better than Campana. But yes,
Okay, but Campana is
yes,
like
yeah,
is the most expensive trade in MLS history. Like
right.
he's as good as you're going to get at giving out a DP contract, except for Luis Suarez, who is only coming because he
Well,
wants
that's
to
what I'm
play
saying.
for
I don't
cheaper
think. I
as
think it would have been. I don't think it would have been a tam 9 when Campana first came here. Kind of that type of 9, because when he first came, he was he a young DP his first contract or a tam?
He was a
I don't remember.
U22.
Like
He was a
U22
U22.
DP, but like someone at that level. I'm not looking for not someone that's going to specifically take Suarez's minutes, but that allows for us to actually play someone else in that role.
Okay, I'm gonna get to the chat for a couple questions, mostly just for you, Mike, because people want to hear.
Yeah, I
from
don't
you.
know who he is.
He
But he
wants to
doesn't like
hear.
me.
Cristiano wants to hear your theory about why Obando doesn't get minutes.
They don't trust him. He's
You
played
think that's it?
100%.
I don't think that's it.
Well,
I think
what other
Suarez never
reason?
wants to come on. I just think
But
Suarez
even
wants
when
to play.
when Suarez comes out, they bring in Fafa. So they're not doing. They're never
No,
doing
but
a
not.
like
But they bring
sub.
Suarez out when they need a striker. Like if they need a striker on the field, they leave Suarez in. When they bring Suarez off, they want a
That's not
pacey
trust,
transition
right?
player.
If Suarez is willing to come out, which good on
I don't
him.
think he is. I don't think he is.
But when he does come out, it doesn't mean that we need to get rid of the 9. It's just
But we
like they
do.
don't trust. No one trusts Obando to play. Whatever reason, they don't trust him. I can't tell you. I'm not in the locker room. I can't tell you why they don't trust him.
Yeah,
But they do not have faith in him to play more than a cleanup role at best. It's that simple. There's no trust in him. It's the same reason why Taylor never sees a pitch except for a cleanup role. There's no trust in him to really play that position. The problem is he's on the roster, so when they need it, they play him. They got no
Where do you
choice.
think that comes from?
You earlier just told me not to speculate and create conspiracy theories, so I'm not going to speculate and create conspiracy theories. But there's no trust.
Okay.
Like I can't be parked in the wrong parking spot, or he's really inconsistent in practice, or he's got a dark podcast. But there's something about him that they don't trust to consistently play.
Sean said this earlier on, and I did want to come back to it. I started. He says Leagues Cup top 3 is is easier to get than the MLS Cup. But the point of being top 3 in the Leagues Cup is because you get into the CONCACAF Champions Cup next year. And that is important, I think. That's like one of the most important things this season because you didn't win the CONCACAF Champions Cup. That is still on the to-do list for this Lionel Messi era Inter Miami team. And if you don't qualify for next year, that almost automatically makes this. It does. This year is a failure if you don't, like an absolute abject failure if you don't qualify for the MLS. I'm sorry, for the CONCACAF Champions Cup, because it means you didn't win the MLS Cup, and it means you didn't win the Leagues Cup, and it means you didn't win the Supporter Shield. So by definition, not qualifying is a abject failure. Are you worried about that at all?
Oh, 100%. I'm on record multiple times saying I didn't think we were going to win any trophies this year. So I'm very much, and there's multiple recordings of me saying that. I didn't think we had it in us this year. Initially just due to depth, then now due to or lack of trust in our depth. So I think there's a decent likelihood that we don't make CCC.
They want you to go into the conspiracies.
I'm not. You told me. This is your show, man. I'm respecting you. When I spin my show back up, like come to my show and I'll rant on risk of firebombing.
Okay. I have one final question, and then I want to hear a conspiracy theory. Last question. Next episode, Sora and I are going to do a top 20 draft, ranking the best players on Inter Miami. And I want to hear from you. Is there a single player or 2 or 3 that you think has gone dramatically up your board in terms of how you feel about them, or maybe dramatically down, but your opinions changed them in a significant way, and especially maybe the upward positive direction?
In what time span?
This season.
Falcone. I think Falcone he's really stepped up. I think this is going to sound weird since Noah Allen got out of his way. Falcone has really stepped up since Allen's injury. I think that's been really great. I think both Allende and Segovia came in as unknown quantities. I know certain podcasters watched them all the time in South America and they knew all about them, but I didn't. So I think Allende has been gone up. I think let's try and think of who kind of go in the other direction. Redondo continues to kind of unimpress until he randomly impresses and then unimpressed. Weigand, I think, is underappreciated for what he does, going back to our previous conversation. But I think my number one would be Falcone. I just think he seems to be the one center back we went and got that actually does the role we expected of him.
Interesting. I will leave it at that. And not make.
You agreeing with Sean over here?
I think Maxi Falcone's best games this year have been some of the best play we've ever seen from a center back at Inter Miami. And then I think he has like horrific games mixed in.
I think so. It's funny. Camp. So 3 months ago or 2 months ago, we had not Bogert. Who's the MLS, the main chatty guy?
Taylor
Twellman saying, Noah Allen is his top 3 center backs in MLS. And now, since Noah's injury, all of a sudden, Falcone. I think whatever happened, whether it was CWC or Noah getting injured, and now there's a little bit more like the spotlight isn't on the 21-year-old kid, but now the veteran can actually shine. I just think he stepped into the light. He could blow it this week for all I know, but like it just feels a little more like he's stepping into the role we expected of him. Like his game has gotten better, I think, as the season's progressed.
He was awesome in the Club World Cup. He was unbelievable in the Club World Cup.
I think he was fantastic in Red Bulls, and
I don't think he was to blame. 2 or 3 bad games since we finished the Club World Cup, if I'm being honest. But that's just my opinion.
For any of the goals? Was he to blame for any of the goals in Cincy?
I don't know, but I don't judge people just based on the goals they give up. But
also, I have to look up. I got to be honest. I have to look up his name every time because I just call him LMFAO. That's like in my house. I've taught everyone just his name is LMFAO. That's how we use it.
Okay. I got to give the people what they want. What is your favorite, or not favorite, but the thing you're most convinced about that I might call a conspiracy theory, but that you are convinced is true? And I give the floor to you. I will mute my mic so I do not interrupt.
Wow, wait, hold on. Can you? Like, I gotta think about this. My favorite Inter Miami conspiracy theory. I don't know. You got to tee me up on something. I can't just say like randomly. Like it's got to be. It can't just be a totally. Mike makes up a rant on the spot. I need something to get me going.
Okay, got chat. What do you got for him? Because I think you've wanted to go down some paths, and I know that that's certainly something
Well,
that can
I
happen
think
if we don't if we don't
I think I covered
keep
the
in
biggest
check.
one, which is that this is Messi's team. Messi's becoming an owner. Messi has completely changed the dynamics of the club and in the back office and front office. Like that's not I don't think that's a conspiracy. That's a statement, right? Like he has changed. I think he's changed the type of players that we want to play. I think he has, and I'm not saying, by the way, I'm not actually saying this is a bad thing. Again, greatest player of all time. What he does on the field is magic. But he's has a outsized influence on who gets to play. He has an outsized influence on who he gets signed. He has an outside influence on who's coaching, not just the MLS side, but we've seen it down in the younger side. They've completely changed their entire academy. And so I don't. When everyone says like, "What's my theory of why Obando doesn't play?" It's tied somehow to Messi doesn't want him on the field. I don't know why. I legitimately don't know why. Like, it could be a million reasons why he doesn't want Obando on the field, or he didn't want Gressel to play with him, or he didn't want name your player who's left or is or sitting on the bench and not getting any minutes. But Messi has an outside influence in that. That's shocking. I don't feel like that's a conspiracy to say the greatest player of all time, the greatest player in the guy the league has rebuilt itself around, has an outside influence on who he's playing with. And so I'm not saying he's wrong not to play Obando. Bondo at practice may constantly, every time he gets a one touch and a sitter in front of the goal, sky it over the net. And everyone sees that and they've lost faith and confidence in him. Maybe he can't, they've seen him run laps and he's the really bad runner. I don't know. But there's clearly, it's not just Mascherano, it's Messi. Or it's Suarez when he goes out on the boat with Messi, reminding Messi that Suarez doesn't like Obando. I don't know, but this all factors into it. And I don't think there's any team in any world where it's just on-field performance that people are making decisions about. This is the same here. There are factors that we are not aware of, but Suarez has Messi's ear. He has Mascherano's. Messi obviously has Mascherano's ear, and he has Jose and Jorge's ear. Alba has Messi's ear. Like that plays into this a lot. I'm not going to go out and make up some reason why this happened, but Obando is not getting played for a reason. Afonso is not getting played for a reason. And I don't think it's 100% tied to on-field performance.
Just to ask a couple add-on to your conspiracy theory, which I will maintain as a conspiracy theory. Do you
I don't.
think
I
do you
don't think
think
I.
that's why Tata is not the coach anymore?
Oh, and I think Tata. First off, I think I started the fire Tata train. Tata's not the coach because the expectation for this
let's
team.
let's be clear. I don't think that if what you're saying is true about Messi and his outside influence, I don't think they care about the podcasters saying Tata out. But go
I
ahead.
don't think so either. Okay, that I'm not going down the path. I don't think they care what Mike says. I'm just saying I started the train.
Right.
I don't think he delivered the expectations the team was. He met the expectations of the team. He did not deliver a trophy this team cared about. Besides, okay, Leagues Cup the first year, fine. But last season did not deliver the trophy the team cared about. I expect Mascherano will be held to the same standard.
You do. You think so?
I do. I do think Mascherano will be held to the same standard.
Okay. Last part of this conspiracy I want to get your thoughts on. I feel like just reading quotes, listening to Javier Mascherano talk, that he is very, very willing to defer to Messi and Suarez about their style of play, how they play. Uh, never, I mean, it feels to me like they are very much of him in terms of the pecking order, and he sort of represents that in the way he talks and speaks. I don't necessarily get the same sense when he talks about Jordi Alba, when he talks about Sergio Busquets. Do you think this extends to them, or do you think Messi and Suarez have like a special place? Just the two of
Um,
them? Because I
so
think in my
so
head, I categorize them all similarly in terms of I mean, I know Messi's number one, but I would consider them all to be sort of elite next
no,
tier
I
historic type players.
I think your observation pecking order is correct. It's Messi, then Suarez. I got called out on Twitter because I tried to create a controversy. The fact is the Messi and Suarez families have one skybox, the Alba and Busquets have a second. And I can tell you, I have never seen Messi walk over into the skybox to say hi to Alba Busquets. They cross it, they hug, they do, but there's a very clear pecking order. And the joke I was making with one of my friends is I expect to see DePaul in the Messi box, not in the Alba box. So I think that there is a pecking order. Um, you see Instagram, you typically see Suarez with Messi. You don't see. Uh, I don't know why he picks one or the other, but that's historically what you'll see is not Alba and Busquets hanging out with Messi. It's Suarez. So I do think there is a level. I think that's the question you're asking, right? There is a clear level between those players,
Well, I'm talking about in terms of Mascherano's decision making
but I
and
think it's
just
together, right?
picking players. And
They all. But you're not going to bench. And now Alba's got the 3-year contract. You're not or 4-year contract. You're not benching Alba anytime soon.
okay, Mike. One of the reasons I wanted to have you
Glad
on
to see
is
my
because
fans are in the house. They're coming to support me.
one of the
There's a
reasons
very mean person in the comments, and they're hurting my feelings.
no no saying bad things about the chat. Um, you have stopped for now doing the Inter Miami show, and I think that's a great loss to the Inter Miami fan community.
We'll be back.
I will say I find it personally frustrating that you don't put your episodes on Spotify anymore. So I will absolutely. I was going to tell you this off camera, but I'm just going to scold you for that now. Put them back on Spotify so I can listen at the gym. Is there anything else you want to say? Because I can tell just by talking to you off camera, you've been itching to get back on camera and on the mic. Is there anything else you want to say before you guys come back, maybe after the Leagues Cup?
It's a really interesting time to be a fan. It's a really because at the end of the day, we're still we're still essentially almost top of the table. We're still doing really good, and it's just our expectations are so high for this team that any miss on expectations is a loss to us. And I don't think that's wrong, by the way, right? Like the team has set themselves up those expectations. The team has gone and charged fans at this expectation. We're paying, our ticket prices more than doubled in a 2-year time span. So we all have these super high expectations. I don't think these expectations are consistent with what we are being set up for. Is it realistic to have expectations that we're going to win every trophy? Probably not, but the team's telling us that they expect to, so therefore we are. So uh you and I go back and forth. Like some days I'm like, it's the worst, and then we go beat New York 5-1. It's like, wow, that's going to really impact my ability to rant because we just lose someone out 5-1. Um, but yeah, I think that's this weirdness with this team of, if you go tell New England right now that they're sitting in 5th place, 4th on points, 3, they would be ecstatic. They're building their coach a trophy, a statue, and we're saying fire the guy. So it's a really interesting place to have. Everybody wants to see Messi not lose he's won the league in every league he's ever been in. Like we want to see him succeed. We want to see these trophies here. No one wants to see us lose, even though I've been accused of that. And we're struggling because it's just not happening. And so, yeah, I kind of went in a weird circle there. I'm sure someone will say that in comments, but it's just it's very weird to like be upset that we're on 40 points, 22 games in, and we've basically made the playoffs already before the All-Star break. Like, and yet we are, right? That's the show. We are upset about this. We don't think we've done good enough. So I don't know. It's weird. I find the whole thing kind of strange, and it's just weird.
I do think about this sometimes with my co. We talk about like maybe what Inter Miami is going to be like in the post Messi era, and how like you understand the expectations are going to be different. We understand that, but I think it'll just be really interesting to see how it changes because I remember what it was like to get frustrated that we lost at Philadelphia 2-0 and we lost 4 games in a row and all this other stuff. So I
Yeah,
guess we
I
should leave
think
it at that. I
yeah, I
will
think that's an
say,
interesting question though. What does it we look like? Because the ticket prices will be the same, but the on field, what we're getting on the field will not be. And how does Miami react to that?
I know I find it a very interesting question, but I think we should save it for another day. Mike, thank you so much for coming on. Please tell everyone where they can find more of you, and then we'll wrap it up.
All right, so the Inter Miami show. No, we have not broadcast for about 2 months now, but we will be back. Looking to get back after Leagues Cup. Also, find me on Twitter, M Longin. I have anything I'm willing to say on the show. I've probably said on Twitter multiple times, and either been buried or found out a lot of people agree with me. So feel free to reach out to me there and follow me, and you're definitely going to see some takes that you do not agree with.
Okay, guys. Thanks for sticking with us. Sometimes it's fun to just get into some conspiracy talk. We will be back Wednesday night. We're going to do a top 20 draft, Sora and I, and I think Maxi Falcone will be very interesting to see where he falls in that draft. Until then, guys, have a wonderful night. We'll see you guys next time. Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. Do us a favor and hit that like and subscribe button. Since our first viewer, sharing this with you all has been the very best part. So from the beginning until the end, thank you for being a part of this and have a wonderful